What's up guys, welcome to Ana. My name is Anna and let's get started with this video. So I've been talking to Alice recently a lot about diet culture and working out and blah blah blah, just because Alice and I have been wanting to get healthier, and with that in mind we've been having a lot of those conversations about how do you get fitter and all those things. And it turns out that there's a lot of miscommunication with the diet culture thing. She told me some things that I was like, oh no, that's not it. That's just really not it. So I figured I would come up here and do a video about how to lose weight in the only way that really works and in the healthy way as well, which is super important. And so here we are. I have seen so many different diets. I've seen horrible, just not healthy lifestyles. I've seen someone who sewed a patch into their tongue so that they couldn't swallow food and just juices. Believe it or not, that actually is real. And I've seen stuff like the keto diet or keto diet or whatever the name is, and and you cut this food out and you cut that food out and blah 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 blah. I don't know why I've been around so many diets in my life, but I have. And I can honestly tell you, none of them work. None of those diets work, because at the end of the day, it's all about restriction. And as soon as you stop that diet, you automatically gain everything back because you don't adapt healthy lifestyles and there's no science to them. They're just depriving you from everything. So with that in mind, let's get started. There's 3 things that I want to say. The first one is, I'm not a doctor, I am not an expert. This is all the information that I've learned throughout my athlete life and that I've gotten from actual nutrologists when discussing this subject, and the only thing that I've seen results in. It just logically makes sense, so it makes everything better. Another thing that I want to say is, if you don't have a healthy relationship with food or with working out, I'd recommend first of all either going to a therapist and sorting those issues out, or embarking on this journey with actual professionals who will check up on you very regularly, because I think dieting is something that can really easily end up in an eating disorder, and that's definitely something that we want to avoid, because it's just not good, not healthy, and this is all about getting healthier and being your best version of yourself, so don't do that. If you have a bad relationship with food or working out, that doesn't mean that you can't be healthy. I would just recommend following some simple tips to start adapting a healthier lifestyle without actually starting to count numbers and doing maths and all those things, just because that, I feel like, it's the slippery slope. So if you don't want to go into any diets and you just want tips on how to be healthier, here's a video that I made on just small tips that it's not about restriction, and it's all about just how to eat healthier and incorporate healthier habits into your lifestyle. And then the last thing that I want to say is that anything that I say here is not considering that you may have any allergies or intolerance to certain foods. So I'm just gonna get started on the video, but just please keep those 3 things in mind and let's go. The calorie deficiency diet is it's super simple. So basically, food equals energy, and we burn energy with everything we do, from pumping our heart, breathing, to walking, exercising, etc. So making it simple, the calorie deficiency diet is basically eating a little bit less calories than what you burn in a day. What I like about this diet is that it's not restricting, so you don't actually cut out any food groups, because if you think about it, as humans, we aren't really made to cut out any food groups. If you follow a lifestyle for example, you're vegan, you have to find a supplement for those foods that you're not eating. So if you're not going to follow any of those lifestyles, you shouldn't be cutting out any of those foods unless you have an allergy or some type of food intolerance. And that's just the most simple way to say everything. I think where it gets trickier is when you start the math and all those things. But it's super important to understand that you burn calories just by being alive. These trackers and whatnot, they may want to try and track that, but they don't actually show it. My watch, for example, always tells me that I burn 300 to 400 calories per day, even with exercise. That doesn't mean that those are all the calories that I burn within a day. Those are just my active calories. But then my resting calories are going to be a different thing, and those ones are the ones that I just burn by being alive. So don't listen to these trackers too much, because realistically speaking, you can't eat less than 400 calories in a day. Like, that's not okay. So now that you know what a calorie deficiency diet, let's go into how to get started with one. So the first thing you want to do is calculate how many calories you have to eat. So to do this, I like to do it two ways. So the first one is a very like shot in the dark, which is basically going into my phone, finding out like an average of my resting calories, and also adding my average of active calories, and then that creates for me like an idea of what I burn in a day. So for example, my phone is telling me that my resting calories that I burn in a day is around 1,392 calories. And then it tells me that my daily average of how much I burn is around 400 calories. So I'm just gonna round up my resting energy calories, and I'm gonna add my active calories, and that's a total of around 1,800 calories per day. Now that being said, the phone and the watch can't really track them because they don't track you when you sleep or when you take a shower and blah blah blah, all those things. So they're not really exact, so you have to definitely add more. So I would add around, I would say, depends on how much you use your watch. I wake up and I put it on, and then I put it off right before I go to sleep. So for me, I would only add around 300 calories, maybe 400 more. So that would mean 2,200 calories per day. So that would be what I would need to eat in a day just to maintain my weight. But that's like a shot in the dark. But then there's an actual better method that's a lot more scientific, and it has math in it, and it's really nice. So I'm gonna take out my computer just to get this going. So this is the TDEE calculator. TDEE stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. It's pretty easy. Let's just fill everything out. Of course, fill it out with your details, not mine. And so I'm a female. I am 22 years old. I weigh 53 kilograms, and I am 165 centimeters tall. Now, you saw that I've done this before, but whatever. And then my activity, I exercise 3 to 5 times per week. And at the moment, I'm not doing any weights, so I'm not gonna put heavy exercise. So I'm gonna leave it in moderate. And then my body fat, this is an old number, but it's the only one that I know so far, and I have a 22% of body fat. The way that it works, it's really funny. Fat weighs less than muscle in the scale, but 1 pound or 1 kilogram or 1 whatever of muscle will burn more calories than 1 pound, 1 kilogram, or 1 whatever of fat. So just by existing, if you have more muscle, you will be burning more calories. So knowing your body fat will make this number of calories that you have to like consume every day a lot more closer to what you should actually be eating. So we just click calculate, and this is it. So to keep my weight as it is 1,958 calories per day, and then this is the weekly number, but we don't have to look at it. And to find out how many calories you want to take away from that number, you usually take a percentage off of it. I personally prefer, and I think it works better, if you take a range off of it. So I do a minimum and a maximum. So from my number right there, we're gonna round it up to 1960 calories a day to maintain my weight. And if you look at it, it kind of aligns with what my phone was saying. So it was great to just do both, just to double check. That's something that I prefer doing, but that doesn't mean you have to do both. The way that I create my range is that I take 12% off of my daily intake, and then I take 20% off of my daily intake. And then those numbers are my maximum and my minimum calories, and I can eat between those two numbers. So let's do the math. So 12% of 1,960 is 235 calories. So that leaves me with a maximum calorie intake per day of 1,724 calories. And then I go to my lower range, which is I take off 20%. So 20% of 1,960 is 396. That leaves me with a minimum intake of 1,568 calories. So this is the range of where I should be eating and aiming to eat towards. I feel like ranges are very important because sometimes we might burn a little bit more calories, and that day your body wants to eat more, and it's very important that we do listen to our bodies. So you will always always want to aim to eat right in the middle, but maybe you're not that hungry that day, but you do need to eat, so just make sure that you get to that minimum. But at the same time, if you want to eat more, just make sure that you don't pass that, unless it's like a special occasion or it's your cheat day or whatever. Like, it's okay to let go. You don't have to be so restrictive. When we calculate our numbers, we're already calculating more or less how much you exercise. So if you increase your exercise by a lot more than what is usual, then yes, you should increase your calories. If it's not a consistent raise of exercise that you've done throughout the week and that you're going to keep on doing, then you should not be changing your numbers, because we have already taken into consideration your physical activity into that number. So if your physical activity does change, just go back and do all the math again and like back to that website, and it will give you those numbers, and then again you take your minimum and your maximum intake. But anyways, that's like the theory, that's how you get those numbers. So here are my tips on how to track and how to maintain this diet. So you're gonna find that maybe you're not gonna cut out entire food groups. However, you're gonna probably start leaning towards food groups that are a lot healthier than, for example, sugar. So you're not cutting it out, but you'll be leaning towards them because healthy foods actually last longer in your system. You know what? I don't know how to explain it, but there's this really good episode in Explained, a TV series on Netflix, and this is the way they explain it, and I think it's beautiful.
Domino ad even claimed that 3 spoonfuls of sugar was less fattening than an apple. But while it might have fewer calories, not all calories are created equal. When you eat an apple, your blood sugar levels rise gently.
You get the sugar, but you also get it with fiber and a whole host of macronutrients,
which takes a while to digest. But pure sugar is more instant and followed by a crash, so you can actually feel hungrier than you did before.
So that being said, you want to make sure that you're eating fulfilling food. So in quantity, it looks like a salad is going to be a lot more food at the moment, but in the long run, you're going to be eating less, or you're going to be more comfortable, because you shouldn't be starving yourself. Ideally, you should be eating 5 times a day. That is the goal. And keeping a firm schedule actually helps out your body so much, because our bodies are made to survive. So if you stop eating or you skip meals, your body is gonna go into like this survival mode, and it's gonna start storing the food and the fat and all those things, because your body doesn't know when it's gonna get more energy to actually keep on going. So don't skip meals, because overall in the long run, that's just gonna slow down your metabolism and you're gonna accumulate more energy or fat or whatever. So just make sure that you're consistent and you don't skip meals. So if you're gonna eat 5 times a day, eat 5 times a day while listening to your body. So like change all the portions so that you're not like overeating or undereating. If you can't realistically do 5 times a day because you're super busy, you can do 4 or you can do 3, but just make sure that you're actually doing it and you're being consistent. Don't eat less than 3 times a day. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just not good for your body at all. Throughout the day, also drink lots of water, because sometimes we confuse hunger with thirst. So if you're hydrated, you're not gonna get that confusion, and it's gonna make it a lot easier for you to adapt. Probably the first and the second week, you're gonna be a little bit more than hungry, but you shouldn't be starving. And that's gonna happen because you're probably used to eating way more calories than what is actually what you need. So the first week and like second week, it's a little bit tricky, but you can do it. It's fine. It's just like an adjustment period. After that, you should be feeling a little bit hungry, but you should never be starving. If you're starving, increase your minimum intake, because that is not the diet. I don't know if I can stress that enough. It's just like people should not be skipping meals or be starving. You need to be listening to your body. And then a super important tip to track your calories. If you're not good at proportioning your food, you're probably gonna end up either over tracking or under eating or stuff like that. So let's just say you're gonna put in your portions half a cup of oats. Make sure that it is half a cup of oats and it's not like you're eyeballing it. Get a cup measurer and just measure your stuff out and then put it into your app correctly, and that way you will probably be able to eat a lot more throughout the day. And it will also ensure that you're able to track your progress correctly, and that way you can adjust accordingly. Because again, you should not be starving, and that's just super important. If you're combining this with working out, then your results are gonna like start to change a lot more, because you're probably gonna be losing fat and earning some muscle. So again, whenever you notice a lot of change, just go back and do your numbers again that's totally fine. Like, it will be something that just changes constantly. There's a lot more to go from here, especially when you're bodybuilding and all those things, but this is just like weight loss 101. Like, this isn't like yes, more muscle, all of those things. So please don't ask me about any of those things because I do not know how to answer. And the final thing I want to say, just a reminder to everyone out there, is that the number on the scale does not define how you look. Because, for example, if I were to have a lot more muscle and be super toned, I would be a lot heavier than what I put into my calculation in my computer. So just make sure that if you're going to be up in that scale, it's in a comfortable way and it's only tracking your progress, and that you're aware that your body will change and it's totally fine to do so, and that the scale number is just a number and it doesn't define how you look. So yes, just love your body, love yourself. Your body is doing great. Like, you're still alive in the middle of a pandemic. Like, you're doing fantastic. I do have that video that I mentioned about healthy lifestyle tip, which is up here. I recommend you watch it, even if you're not gonna follow this diet, or even if you are going to, because it will definitely help you out and give you a couple of tips and tricks. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment down below, or a like, or even subscribe if you want, because that would help us so much. And that is it for today. So happy Monday, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye!